Hey guys, Dan here. I'm going to do a review of another beer. Um, these beer reviews are getting, I don't know, maybe a little bit redundant on this particular sour beer. It's my same Solera sour beer. This is the first time I've aged it on any fruit. Aged it on some Loquats back in June. So it's on Loquats for about 2 months and then a month and a half in the bottle. Um, and the beer reviews are a little bit self-indulgent, I think. Maybe for my own records, probably not that interesting to watch, so I probably won't be doing any more past this one, unless you guys really want to see that kind of a thing. So I think focusing more videos on like sour beer brewing and then results of that brewing of different kinds of beers might be a little more exciting to watch. So if you guys want to make any comments on that, feel free. That's just throwing that out there for my channel. So this sour beer is the same sour beer that I sent Ryan Rashawn and Colorado Fly Fisherman. It's the second pull from the Solera, and this was 1 gallon aged on Loquats. The Loquats were locally picked. I did 3 pounds of Loquats pitted, and for 1 gallon of beer. So I only got like 5 bottles out of it. This is one of the 5 bottles. It's kind of a test run. I think I can produce more next year if I can get more beer out of my Solera, which I have a plan to do that. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, let's give this a taste and see how it turned out. Okay, so the beer pours nice golden color with a nice one finger head on it with a vigorous pour, quite carbonated. I think I just used carb drops for this. I didn't do any strict measurements. A little bit lighter in color than the first pull, and I think that's due to the dry malt extract that I used in this beer. The dry malt extract was quite a bit lighter, the light Pilsner extract, than the first time that I brewed it, and I don't know if I got the same kind of extract or if I got a different kind of extract. If I got the same kind, did they change it? It's the Breeze, dry malt extract Pilsner extra light is what I used. So it's got a really golden color to it. Let's get the aroma. It's got a very sour aroma to it, similar to the original beer. However, it's much brighter and fresher. You get a lot of really fresh fruit aroma from it. And just a hint of funkiness, a little bit of a lactic acid funk to it. But very refreshing almost in the way that sometimes hoppy beers can come across. It doesn't obviously smell like hops or anything, but has a very nice, refreshing aroma as opposed to maybe a more dank kind of sour aroma that the original beer had, or that the base beer had on its own. I smell a little bit of a funk astringency in there, maybe a funk bitterness, and quite a bit of a lactic quality to it. So cheers, let's give it a try. It's a pretty interesting flavor, something definitely unique to me. I've had a few apricot sour beers. I've never had any kumquat sour beers that I can remember. Loquat is kind of similar to a kumquat in an apricot, maybe kind of in between. It doesn't have as much character as an apricot does. They're a little bit sweeter, and I would be hard pressed to pick out the Loquat flavor. However, the beer tastes totally different than the base beer. Definitely a lot more fruit flavor to it. And by fruit flavor, it's kind of a generic tropical fruit, a little bit of sweetness. Definitely a nice sourness that lingers throughout the palate. It finishes very sour. And a light sweet finish in there as well. The oak flavor has really died down in it, which I kind of would have rather the oak would have stayed. But definitely the prominent flavor in the beer is actually the Loquats. It's got a very sweet, juicy, citrusy kind of quality to it. Sweeter than apricot sour beers, like say the one from Tahoe Mountain or Cascade Brewing. Definitely a very unique sour beer, and again, compared to other fruited beers with apricots, just a little bit sweeter, but it kind of has that same light stone fruit flavor to it. So I might do a full batch of it. It's very good. It's very citrusy. So it's very good. It's very juicy, very citrusy in a juicy kind of a way, and it's not overly sour. Just has a real nice level of tartness to it. So it's a very easy drinking beer. It doesn't have quite the level of funk that I want to it. It doesn't have quite the level of oak to it as either. So those are two things to work on. So I just wanted to mention a couple of things about the beer. It was just a little bit watery, and I think that came from the fruit. I used 3 pounds of Loquats, 1 gallon of beer, and they were really juicy. So I think I introduced a lot of water into the beer. The second reason, I think, is because I didn't use any Saccharomyces to do any fermentation for a while now in that Solera, so there's definitely a lack of glycerol. Glycerol gives beer its slickness, kind of that oily slickness that it gets, and that comes from Saccharomyces. Brettanomyces in general doesn't produce that, so when I do the beer again, I'm going to use a little bit of Saccharomyces, so I think that can also help. I was wondering if it was because it was an extract beer, but the original beer didn't have, it had that watery aspect a little bit, but not to the degree that this one had, where people would be able to point it out. I think that it's the one flaw in the beer, but it's not a glaring flaw, but it's definitely a flaw that I want to work on. So I'll also maybe put a little bit of rye in the recipe. I'm thinking about changing it to all grain. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm definitely going to work on with the beer. And also with the Loquat, so I'm going to back it down from 3 pounds per gallon to 2 pounds per gallon, and see if that gets rid of the extra sweetness as well as adding too much water, because fruit is mostly water. So anyway, cheers guys, and thanks for watching.